In the past decade, cannabis has gone from taboo to trendy, especially among older adults. With legalization sweeping across North America and parts of Europe, many seniors now see cannabis as a natural, modern solution for chronic pain, insomnia, anxiety, or even depression. After all, it's plant-based, widely available, and often marketed as safe. But what's often missing in this conversation is a simple but critical question. Is cannabis actually safe for people over 65? The answer, according to a growing number of doctors, is not always. Our bodies change with age. The way we absorb, process, and react to substances, especially psychoactive ones like THC, shifts dramatically after 60. For some, a small dose might bring relief, but for others, it can lead to unexpected dizziness, confusion, hallucinations, heart rhythm changes, or dangerous drug interactions. Yet because cannabis is now so normalized, many seniors assume it's risk-free, or at least safer than prescription drugs. This video on elderly reflections is not here to judge or scare, it's here to inform. We'll break down the science, explore the latest research, and share what doctors are truly seeing in their older patients. Because elderly wisdom means knowing when to say yes and when to pause, even with something as natural as cannabis. If you're new here, subscribe and turn on the bell to receive weekly reflections on senior health, independence, and the life lessons that truly matter. As we age, our sense of balance becomes more fragile, and cannabis only makes that fragility more dangerous. Falls remain one of the leading causes of hospitalization and long-term disability in seniors over 65. Yet more and more older adults are exploring cannabis as a way to manage joint pain, muscle stiffness, or chronic insomnia. What many don't realize is that while cannabis may bring short-term relief, it may quietly undermine their ability to stay upright, even during the simplest nightly routines. THC affects the cerebellum, the region of the brain responsible for coordination, movement, and posture, causing slower reaction time, delayed motor signals, and unstable footing. And when that's combined with vision issues, neuropathy, or nighttime bathroom trips, the result can be catastrophic. Dr. Melissa Andrews, a geriatric specialist in Boston, puts it plainly, even a mild dose of cannabis can impair balance in older adults, particularly those already dealing with arthritis, neuropathy, or blood pressure drops. It doesn't matter if you feel high or not, your reflexes may still be impaired. Harold, 79, from Oregon, had been a lifelong skeptic of marijuana, but pain kept him awake, and he was desperate for sleep. He started using cannabis oil on toast before bed. "It helped me fall asleep faster," he said. "I thought it was working wonders." But one night, the simple act of standing up to go to the bathroom turned dangerous. He blacked out mid-step and collapsed in the hallway. He woke up in the ER with a cracked rib, bruised hip, and a nurse asking what he had taken. His recovery took 6 painful weeks. More than that, Harold lost something deeper, his confidence. He no longer walked around the house without gripping furniture, and he gave up living alone. "The oil's not worth it if I'm scared to stand up," he admitted. And he's not the only one. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine revealed that cannabis-related falls among seniors increased by 67% in the last 10 years. The data is especially concerning because most falls happen at home, at night, and are never officially connected to cannabis use, unless patients choose to admit it. The bigger issue? Seniors don't associate cannabis with real danger. That false sense of safety may be the biggest risk of all. While some turn to cannabis to calm the mind, it may do the opposite, especially for those already facing memory challenges. THC alters activity in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, 2 areas responsible for memory formation, attention control, and decision-making. For younger users, this might mean forgetting where they put their keys. But for seniors, especially those in the early stages of dementia, it can bring dangerous mental fog, emotional withdrawal, and disorientation. Dr. Anna Coleman, a neurologist in Chicago, sees the effects firsthand. "We see older patients come in acting suddenly confused, saying unusual things, or unable to remember basic details. When we ask about cannabis use, some are shocked to learn it could be the cause. Their families often assume it's just natural aging, but it's not always that simple. Eleanor, 84, had always been mentally sharp. After moving into a senior condo, she began experimenting with cannabis gummies to ease arthritis pain. Within 2 weeks, her daughter noticed something was off. She'd ask what day it was, over and over again. She repeated the same stories without realizing it. At first, they feared it was early Alzheimer's, but once she stopped the gummies, the cloud lifted. She was back, her daughter said. It was like someone had been turning the lights off in her head, and then suddenly, they flipped back on. Science supports their experience. The University of Colorado conducted a study on THC and memory in aged rodents, showing measurable impairments in working memory, learning, and decision-making, even at low doses. In humans, the aging brain metabolizes THC more slowly, meaning even tiny amounts can have stronger and longer-lasting effects than intended. When a senior forgets if they've taken medication, wanders from home, or becomes paranoid in public, the consequences are far more serious than a moment of forgetfulness. The heart is another silent victim of cannabis use, particularly among aging adults with pre-existing heart conditions. While cannabis may feel calming on the surface, the physiological effects are far more complex. THC can cause sudden increases in heart rate, tachycardia, trigger blood vessel constriction or dilation, and contribute to dangerous fluctuations in blood pressure. And for those on cardiovascular medications, the consequences can escalate quickly. Dr. Nikhil Patel, a cardiologist in San Diego, explains, "The real danger is when seniors use cannabis while also taking medications like beta blockers or anticoagulants. The heart becomes more unpredictable and the margin for error shrinks. Even a single dose of cannabis can tip a stable heart into arrhythmia or collapse." Paul, 72, had never had heart trouble before. After trying a low-dose THC vape pen recommended by a friend, he experienced what he described as a switch turning off. He stood up from the couch and dropped immediately. His wife found him lying on the floor, conscious but unable to move. ER doctors diagnosed orthostatic hypotension, an extreme blood pressure drop upon standing, and confirmed that cannabis was the likely trigger. In recent years, hospital records show a rise in seniors admitted for heart palpitations, chest tightness, and unexplained blackouts after using cannabis. What's concerning is that many of them assumed they were using safe products. Just a dropper, a tiny puff, or half a gummy. But the aging body doesn't forgive mistakes the way it once did. Driving while under the influence of cannabis is a risk at any age, but for seniors, it's especially dangerous. Cannabis affects perception, reflexes, and judgment. For older adults, these faculties are already slower. When cannabis is added to the mix, reaction times become even more delayed, increasing the likelihood of car accidents or pedestrian collisions. A Canadian study in 2021 found that drivers over the age of 65 who had recently used cannabis were 3 times more likely to be involved in traffic accidents, even when they didn't feel high. Jean, 76, was one of those drivers. She tried a THC CBD tincture for her anxiety and insomnia. "It didn't make me feel anything," she said, "so I thought I was fine." But while backing out of her driveway, she sideswiped a neighbor's trash can, then hit a mailbox. "It felt like I was moving in slow motion, like watching someone else drive the car." Cannabis impairs the brain's ability to process speed, space, and distance. Unlike alcohol, its effects don't always feel obvious, especially in older adults, where metabolism slows THC breakdown. That means someone may feel sober, but still be cognitively impaired for hours. And it's not just about the driver. Seniors who walk to appointments, use mobility scooters, or cross busy streets are also more vulnerable when cannabis slows reflexes. Independence is precious, but not worth risking over a false sense of calm. Drug interactions remain one of the most underreported and underestimated dangers of cannabis use in seniors. The majority of older adults are on 5 or more prescription medications. When cannabis is added, especially without professional supervision, it can interfere with how the body metabolizes these drugs, making them either dangerously strong or completely ineffective. Dr. Linda Morris, a senior care pharmacist, warns, cannabis, particularly CBD, can inhibit liver enzymes like CYP3A4 and CYP2C9, which are responsible for metabolizing everything from statins and SSRIs to anticoagulants like warfarin. If those enzymes slow down, medication levels spike. George, 80, started using CBD drops for knee inflammation. Within a month, his blood thinner levels went off the chart. "I was at triple the safe range," he said. "I could have had a brain bleed and I wouldn't have known it until it was too late." This kind of interaction isn't theoretical, it's documented. Many seniors, eager to try a natural solution, don't think to mention it to their doctor. But cannabis doesn't behave like a supplement. It behaves like a pharmacological agent, and it needs to be treated with the same caution. Lastly, dosing is perhaps the most unpredictable part of cannabis use, and the most dangerous for older adults. Unlike traditional medications, cannabis products are not regulated with the same precision. Labels may be inaccurate, batch consistency varies, and seniors new to cannabis have no baseline to judge what's too much. A 2020 study revealed that nearly 60% of edibles contained significantly more THC than advertised. Rita, 69, bought a brownie labeled as containing 2 milligrams THC, marketed as a microdose. But within 30 minutes, she experienced a racing heart, tight chest, and what she thought was a stroke. Her grandson called an ambulance. Later testing revealed the brownie had nearly 10 milligrams of THC, 5 times the intended dose. "I've never been so terrified," she said. "I thought I was dying. I couldn't talk or move. I was trapped in my own body." The reality is that seniors have lower tolerance, slower metabolism, and greater medication sensitivity. Even a mild overdose can lead to confusion, panic, dehydration, or days of unsteadiness. And unlike prescription drugs, there is no antidote for cannabis. Once it's in your system, you have no choice but to ride it out. As seniors search for peace and relief in their later years, many turn to cannabis hoping for a gentle companion in their daily struggles, whether it's chronic pain, anxiety, or sleeplessness. But for some, that search leads them somewhere unexpected, into emotional flatness, a sense of emotional indifference, and the slow erosion of the passions and motivations that once made life meaningful. While cannabis can indeed bring temporary calm, its effects on mood, emotional drive, and psychological connection are more complex, especially in older brains. THC impacts the frontal cortex, the area responsible for emotion, decision-making, and social engagement. In seniors, whose neural circuits are already more vulnerable, that can result in what experts call a motivational syndrome, a state of mental numbness, loss of initiative, and fading emotional color. Dr. Allison Moore, a geriatric psychiatrist, notes that this flattening of feeling is more common than most realize. THC can blunt emotions in older adults, reducing their interest in social interactions, hobbies, and even self-care. It's not a sedative in the traditional sense. It's a dimmer switch on life's intensity. That's what happened to Mabel, 77, who had rediscovered her love for painting after decades. For a few weeks, she used cannabis oil at night to relax her joints. Then her daughter noticed something had changed. She used to paint for hours with such focus. Suddenly, she couldn't finish a single piece. Her hands moved, but the joy was gone. Mabel herself put it this way: "The colors faded. I felt empty." When she stopped using cannabis, her focus and creativity came rushing back. It wasn't pain holding her back. It was the fog of emotional dullness. Worse than flatness is the anxiety cannabis can stir in some seniors, especially those already facing emotional vulnerability. Although cannabis is marketed as a stress reliever, many users experience the opposite effect. THC can overstimulate the brain's fear circuits, creating a loop of irrational worry, panic, and even psychosis. Dr. Moore has treated cases like these. I've seen older adults wake up in a cold sweat, pacing the hallway, frightened of shadows that weren't there, all triggered by a small edible they thought would help them sleep. Daniel, 82, experienced one of these terrifying episodes. He had used cannabis gummies to ease his insomnia, but one night, after taking a slightly higher dose, he woke up certain someone was in his home. I was shaking. I couldn't tell what was real, he recalled. He called his grandson in a panic and never touched cannabis again. These experiences aren't rare. They're often misclassified as dementia or nighttime confusion, when in fact, they're acute THC reactions. Loneliness is already one of the most painful realities of aging, and cannabis, for some, deepens that isolation. Seniors often begin using cannabis to manage sadness or to unwind during long, solitary evenings. But ironically, it may reduce the very impulses that keep them connected, like calling a friend, attending a club, or even stepping outside. Studies show that older cannabis users are more likely to report depression, social withdrawal, and an overall drop in life satisfaction. Ottawa Public Health warns that cannabis used to cope with loneliness can backfire, increasing feelings of disconnection over time. Edith, 74, was once a regular at her community center's billiards nights. After trying cannabis-infused tea for her arthritis, she slowly began skipping sessions. "I didn't feel sad," she said. "I just didn't feel like going out." But as weeks passed, she realized her friends had moved on. "I was alone, not because people forgot me, but because I faded away from them." Cannabis didn't create her loneliness, but it made it easier to accept. Purpose is another subtle casualty. Many seniors find profound meaning in their daily rituals: gardening, journaling, talking with grandchildren, volunteering. But long-term cannabis use has been linked with decreased motivation, lower engagement in hobbies, and an overall loss of life direction. That's what happened to Simon, 80, who used to spend every morning tending his garden. "It was how I started my day. It made me feel useful." But after adding cannabis to his arthritis treatment, he stopped going outside. "I didn't hate gardening. I just didn't care." His wife, Martha, saw the change. He didn't ask about the tomatoes or the seasons anymore. His spark was dimming. After quitting cannabis, Simon slowly returned to the soil, and with it, a part of himself. The sun felt warmer. The dirt meant something again, he said. That's the cost cannabis can hide, not taking things away, but making us forget why they mattered in the first place. Dependency is a topic often avoided when it comes to seniors and cannabis. The assumption that older adults are immune to substance habits is a myth. In fact, 9 to 20% of adult users show signs of cannabis use disorder, and that number may be higher in older adults who use cannabis regularly for sleep or pain. In a University of Michigan poll, more than 20% of seniors using cannabis monthly reported at least one sign of dependence, whether needing higher doses, struggling to stop, or feeling irritable when going without. Jakob, 68, is one such example. He started with a nightly gummy to relax, but within a month, one gummy wasn't enough. Then 2, then 3. "When I didn't have it, I got short with people. I didn't like who I was becoming." His doctor helped him taper off, but the experience left him shaken. "I thought I was in control, but I wasn't." And finally, for some seniors, cannabis doesn't just dull symptoms, it dulls life itself. Growing older is meant to be a time for storytelling, reflection, laughter, and connection. But when cannabis dampens emotional depth, lowers motivation, and encourages retreat, it robs older adults of those precious final decades. A 2025 study in JAMA revealed that cannabis use among seniors correlated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, ER visits, and memory impairment. As cannabis legalization spreads and social stigma fades, use among adults over 65 has surged, nearly 46% from 2021 to 2023. But the quiet warning from doctors is not celebratory, it's cautionary. Natural doesn't mean harmless, legal doesn't mean safe, and comforting doesn't mean it's what your heart and soul truly need. When older adults first consider cannabis, the question often begins with hope. Could this help me sleep better? Ease my pain? Calm my nerves? And while those desires are deeply human, the decision requires more than hope. It demands wisdom. Elderly wisdom. The kind that doesn't rush in, but pauses, reflects, asks the right questions before reaching for a product that promises comfort, but may also carry silent risks. The most important first step is not taking the cannabis. It's having an honest conversation with your doctor, your pharmacist, or someone you trust. You must ask yourself, why am I doing this? Have I explored other paths? Is my body ready for something this unpredictable? Start with a plan, not a guess. A journal, a low dose, and a commitment to listening to your body with gentleness and attention. Because aging changes everything, including how your brain and heart react to even the smallest chemical. And sometimes the answer doesn't lie in cannabis at all. Relief may come from something far more ancient than modern edibles, like guided breathing, meditation, or simply walking under trees. Many seniors have rediscovered sleep through cognitive behavioral therapy. Others soothe pain through Tai Chi or water therapy. Even a cup of herbal tea, carefully chosen, can be a quiet kind of medicine. These are not gimmicks. They're the quiet gifts of routines that align with the body's natural rhythm. No side effects, no surprises, just steady care. But for those who do decide to try cannabis, intention must guide every step. The phrase, "start low and go slow," isn't just a slogan, it's a lifeline. A small dose, just 1 milligram of THC, can be the difference between a gentle easing or an unexpected night of fear, fog, or fatigue. Choose only regulated, clearly labeled products, and track every experience. Was your mind clearer? Did your pain lessen? Or did you feel unsteady, withdrawn, disconnected? A pen and notebook may protect your peace better than any pill. Time and setting matter more than many realize. One of the greatest risks to seniors using cannabis isn't the product itself, but using it at the wrong time, in the wrong place. Never take cannabis before driving, operating anything sharp or hot, or engaging in important conversations. Use it only in safe, quiet spaces. Let your evenings be slow, your surroundings familiar. And remember, aging slows metabolism. What lingers for minutes in a younger person may stretch into hours, or even a fog the next morning, for someone in their 70s. Home, too, must be prepared with care. Cannabis can subtly affect balance and reaction. Keep pathways open and lit. Install grab bars and non-slip mats in bathrooms. Remove rugs that wrinkle. Consider a medical alert system or daily check-ins with family. These small adjustments may seem unnecessary until the one moment when they become life-saving. Perhaps the most overlooked step is reflection. Every 4 to 6 weeks, seniors should ask themselves, is this still helping me? Am I growing dependent? Do I feel more myself or less? Cannabis should never become background noise. It should never steal your routines, your joys, your hobbies. If it starts to dull your sparkle, your love for music, gardening, conversation, it's not helping. It's hiding something, and that's not healing. This is also a journey best not walked alone. Share your plan with your children, your caregiver, your closest friend. Let them see what you're trying, how you're changing, what you fear. They might catch a tremor in your voice, a shift in your gaze, a quietness that speaks louder than words. And they might gently remind you to pause, to question, to return to your own strength. That's what connection is for. And finally, know when to let go. Cannabis may serve some for a season, but it must never become a crutch for life. If you start feeling flat, foggy, isolated, or if you forget why you began this journey in the first place, it's okay to stop, to come back to the wisdom you've earned, to trust the old ways again. Movement, good food, gentle rest, the joy of being heard and being needed. That's where healing lives. Not in a bottle, but in the beautiful, breath-filled moments you choose to live fully. Growing older is not about giving up on relief or comfort. It's about choosing them wisely. As cannabis becomes more common, It's tempting to believe it's a gentle answer for every ache and sleepless night. But wisdom tells us, not every solution is safe for every season of life. For seniors, especially those over 65, even a natural remedy can have unnatural consequences. If today's video has made you pause, reflect, or reconsider how cannabis fits into your journey, then it's done its job. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because your clarity, your balance, your memories, your relationships, they matter more than any trend. If you found value here, please like this video, subscribe to Elderly Reflections, and turn on notifications for more insights on senior health, elderly wisdom, and meaningful aging. Where are you watching from? Share your city or country in the comments. We love seeing our global senior community grow. And don't forget, your experience might help someone else make a better choice today.